Hello and welcome to another episode of Mortgage Chicks with Hot Tips. I'm Elizabeth Hull.
I'm Kim Hairstead.
I'm Cindy Walker.
And I'm Stacy Van Skank.
Today we're going to talk saving deals. Mortgages are very similar to medical procedures. Don't always just take the first recommendation that you get. The first medical diagnosis, the first financial diagnosis. You should always get a second opinion. And in the loan business, each lender, even though we like to say we all have the same products, we really don't. There are certain nuances and certain things that one lender may be able to do for you versus another lender. So you always want to reach out. For instance, in this case, the deal that I worked on and closed last month was a save the day deal from a borrower who was working with a previous lender whose appraisers were not familiar with our area. So she had an appraisal come in $70,000 low. Wow. They called us and I said, look, I can't guarantee it. But we do use local appraisers to the area. I'm very comfortable. We always have. And we brought the appraisal in, and it only came in $5,000 low.
Wow.
So, this borrower was so very happy. So it is important not to just take your first option. Talk with someone. We may be able to offer you something, and we certainly saved that woman a lot of cash because she put herself on the line for the appraisal gap.
Oh,
yes.
65,000 difference.
So talk about saving the day. All right, ladies, come on. Who's got some other stories to tell?
I have one. Closed him last month, and you were talking about we all seem to have the same products, but we're all different, and I attest a lot of it to experience.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I'm like an old goat. I've been doing this 30 years plus. And
you're a sexy goat.
It goes down to experience. Like my borrower went to a local credit union and they ran him through our automated underwriting system, which we all do. And he'd got what we call a refer eligible. So when it's refer in our industry, that's not a good sign. So it means that the automated system isn't liking the loan. So the credit union said, if I'm sorry, we can't do your mortgage because we're not getting an automated approval. They don't put any common sense in the issue, any underwriting guidelines. They just said, I'm sorry, we can't do your loan. Bye-bye. So I had talked to him about a year previous, and even though his realtor had recommended this credit union, he remembered me, thank goodness. He called me, and I said, we can do it. If you're VA, we don't have a lot of negatives in the loan. I can make common sense out of this. Your debt ratio is good. Your credit is okay. There's not a lot of negatives. I can put together a positive letter to underwriting, and I got him through. Even though he was still refer eligible with me, our underwriting takes a common sense approach. As long as everything else looks good, I put together a strong file. They took the loan. We got him approved before he even went out shopping for the house. So we got his conditional approval in hand, and that was the first obstacle. Then the second one was he wanted a condo. So they went out. They found him a condo. It was already previously rejected by VA, but we've got some expertise going on with our condo department, and I said, don't let that sway you. We can get this condo approved. If you're a veteran, you want this condo, we'll get it through. So we got the condo approved, even though there was a recreational land lease. And we got it approved VA. So we've got a happy veteran who got turned down by a credit union, condo rejected. But I'd like to liken myself as a phoenix pulling him out of the flames.
That's it. That was called refer to another lender who can do this deal.
Amen.
I had one similar, and it just so happened it was in the same condo complex. Mm-hmm. But this guy was buying it as an investment, and it just so happened that his lender actually called me because she was not able to get it done. And at Van Dyke, we have some outsourcing that we can do with our loans, which we broker them out to other lenders. So this guy came to me and they needed to close in 2 weeks.
Oh,
And I was able to get the condo approved and him closed just last week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good
2
job.
weeks.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Kudos.
2 weeks
Yep.
on a condo.
Yeah.
Now with the VA loans, they're the only type of loans where we can send in that doesn't have approved eligible. It can have a refer for a manual underwrite.
Yes.
But just so everyone knows, conventional loans and FHA loans,
If
we do
they're
not
refer, we can't.
Right.
we cannot do them.
But they wouldn't have never knew that unless they picked up the phone and
Thank
called.
God.
So
Yeah.
that's, always pick up the phone and check.
I have a previous customer, we just closed last month, he called me and he said, I need to do a cash out refinance, consolidate all my debt. And he said, my dad told me I had to call the credit union here locally and they just never got back to me and they wouldn't return my calls and then I got a letter in the mail saying no. And he said, I wanted to call you all along, but my dad made me call the credit union. I'm like, that's okay, honey. So I put everything in, his 623 credit score. I got an approved eligible. It was a clean file with a little bit of credit history. At the end of the day, the cash he got out of his home was over $100,000.
Wow.
Consolidated all of his debt, his wife's debt, and he just needed to come to me because we do have different rules, than we do other banks. We don't have a lot of overlays, and some people will know what an overlay is, where you have conditions on top of conditions on top of underwriting. So we don't have that really here. So that's a real big deal. And then, and like what you said, Cindy, it always rings back. Experience counts.
Yeah.
It is not easy being a mortgage lender.
Not at all.
It is not.
Things
If it was,
change daily.
if it was this easy, everyone would do it.
Right.
Right.
And it's the experience, because what we do is we learn when we get burnt.
Amen.
There we
Yeah.
go.
We learn
Yeah.
when we get
We
burned.
do.
I
We
love
do.
that.
Isn't it
Yes,
And I think almost
absolutely.
every deal has hair on it. So I think,
Yeah.
you have to, through
And I
experience.
like our group because we
Yes.
share.
Right,
We
we
share
do.
things that
That
happen, and
happen.
we,
Yeah,
conglomerate on
through
that.
the
other.
experience of the time we have together that we.
Well, when they're calling
put it
these
out.
call centers, they're calling, I'm not going to name names, Rocket Mortgage. But when they're calling these call centers, the people answering the phone, no offense to them, but they don't have a combined, experience of over 100 years at this table. But our experience, we know the guidelines or know how to find answers quickly. So that's kind of the difference. you
Well,
know.
absolutely. And what I like about the way we do things, where a lot of those big box Rocket Mortgage we're talking about, is that we're actually the loan officers on the front end. When you get into those big box companies, those people taking your application on the front end they don't have the same experience level.
Customer
It may just
service
be
reps.
customer service. So you may think you got a loan. I gave my information. They pulled my credit. The lady said, and 2-3 weeks later, you're thinking you're going to close in 30 days, and then you get that letter in the mail because they don't know whether you're approved when you finish their mortgage application. They've got to go through someone else. When we finish their mortgage application, we actually run it through a desktop
Right.
underwriting service. So we're confident when we say, based on what you've said to me today and what we've taken care of here today, I can get you a loan done.
And I'm sure we're all the same here, but I personally am not afraid to say no. I'm personally not afraid to say can't do it. We cannot officially, legally decline mortgage loans. Underwriters have to do that. We can identify enough up front. And if the answer is no, I'm okay giving bad news up front because people want to know up front.
And we can give them a
Absolutely.
game plan. We can say, if you do
Educate
this,
them.
this, and this, in 6 months, maybe you can purchase.
Help them
I
with their
have-
credit and everything and educate them, and that's a big thing.
I have 2 loans right now. So one of them is former clients in the service stationed in Hawaii. They're coming back here. Their family friend now does mortgages. They were working with her. She couldn't answer any questions. They would have questions about, can they use their housing and what about the funding and an insurance quote. And the wife got so frustrated she called me. And I answered the phone. It was on the weekend. And I said, of course I'll help you guys out. Within 2 weeks, the loan was done and clear to close before they even moved here. Plus our interest rate was much better. Much better. But the purpose of the story is the other lender didn't know how to answer any of the questions, so she was just ignoring them.
Wow.
And then I have one right now that I just got yesterday. This has been going on for over 30 days, and the lender will not get back with the clients. It is closing in a week. He
Huge
will
red
be
flag. There's
homeless.
problems.
And guess what? This file is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful.
Wow.
But to not communicate back, because a lot of times they don't know the answers to some questions, it was self-employed. Non-occupying co-borrower was self-employed. It wasn't that big of a deal, but, that's what I think it's important for everyone to know. With our experience, we know how to overcome objections, and we know when to pull the plug, and we're not scared to.
Well,
Yeah.
and absolutely, and we don't like to spend our buyers' money if we don't have to. For instance, I can't tell you how many calls I get. Well, they had me pay off A, B, C, and D, and this,
Oh,
and
heck no.
but they've got beautiful credit, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, you didn't need to pay any of that off until the closing table, okay?
After
Because
you're approved.
once we get your insurance quotes in, and once we do this and that, we may have more income here than what we're dealing with, and you may not have to pay those off.
Right.
So it's so heartbreaking to me to hear buyers call. Well, this lender told me I had to,
Pay
and I paid off
everything off.
$1,200 worth of debt, and I'm like, I always tell my people, you're not going to pay off anything till we get to the closing table.
Same here.
You know? So, wow.
Little tips and tricks.
I know. I love the fact. I love the positive feeling about saving the day. So this
Yes.
was a really fun episode for us to go back
Yeah.
to and think about all the different ways we've done some creative things in our days. As we said, we got a lot of years here, ladies. So thanks again for joining us here on Mortgage Chicks with Hot Tips. And do not forget to follow and like us and listen to us on where you get your podcasts.
And if you have any ideas of topics you'd like for us to discuss or any questions, we can be reached at mortgagechicks@vandykemortgage.com.
You can also watch us on our YouTube channel, Mortgage Chicks with Hot Tips.
Please follow us on our Facebook page at Mortgage Chicks with Hot Tips.
Thanks again.